What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Physique podcast. Today I'm here with our co-host, Shelby Vacca. Welcome, Shelby.
Hi.
All right, so today we're going to talk about realistic goal setting. But before we get into it, Shelby, what's going on in your week? What are some wins you've had so far?
I have had a couple of wins this week. Honestly, it's been kind of a rough week. I'm not one to complain, and I'm not complaining, but focusing on goal setting, one of my goals toward the end of this year was to practice more gratitude. So even though it's been a rough week for me, I still am trying to pick out things that are good that have happened. And one of those things was we looked at one of my athlete's shoulders.
Yeah.
And we finally figured out what was wrong with it. After 2 months of me trying to do it, we finally figured it out. And we finally figured out what's going on with my shoulder. So we can work on that. And I'm back in the gym regularly and consistently after a slip disc.
Yeah.
So that's incredible.
Yeah, lots of rehab.
Lots of things to be grateful for.
Yeah, and honestly, it shows a lot of your character to be positive through all the things, like the rehab, basically quick injuries and things we've had to recover from, like the shoulder situation, the lower back.
Not being able to do anything on your own for 2 weeks at a time because your back's that injured was so humbling. That was such a humbling experience. I never want to be in that position again. So just the fact that I can move my body at all right now, I'm just so grateful.
Yeah, it makes you grateful for
everything.
Yeah.
Literally everything.
Definitely. So, all right, a couple things on my roster. Lots of athlete wins. Got people dropping body fat like crazy that should be, which is awesome. Got a couple people in the growth phase and they're growing well.
Cool.
Myself, I'm nearing the end of my own growth phase here. I'm pretty happy with how that went. All things are going good, getting ready for the holidays. Coming up, it's about to be chaotic. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, every year.
Yeah, and it's, the New Year's coming, so lots of resolutions about to happen.
Yeah, let's talk about some goals.
Yeah, so before we get into it, why are goals important? To me, goals are important because specifically in fitness, if you don't have a specific goal that you're working towards, you're kind of just wandering around doing things that you think that you should be without a specific goal, and you're just spinning your wheels, and you end up putting a lot of work and money into things and not getting a lot in return, and that can end up with a distaste in your mouth. I think a lot of people end up hating the gym or fitness or whatever because they don't see the results, and ultimately comes from them spinning the wheels. So
yeah, and I think if you have a specific goal actually set in mind and set in place and you're working towards that and you actually reach it, no matter how you reach it, it actually reinforces that you can do those things.
Yeah.
And then you want to set more goals for yourself because you know that you're capable of doing them.
Yeah, I heard this quote talking about, I forget who it was. They're talking about basically doing self-elected difficult tasks. So then when non-self-elected tasks that are very difficult come, and they will, you're able to handle that because you have past experience with, well, I'm good at doing hard stuff as it is. Even though this isn't my choice, I'm going to be able to get through this and push through it. So, yeah. And momentum goes a long way. So it keeps you from burning out. So if you're continuing to see success and whatever that success is, then you're going to continue to be driven to go forward. So if you're just kind of working towards a generic goal, then you're not going to be as motivated about it. So, okay, so there's a lot of goals out there that are a little bit unrealistic or they're not specific. So today we're going to talk a little bit about setting a goal. And one of my favorite acronyms for this is SMART. So we're going to talk about setting SMART goals, which means they're going to be specific. They are going to be measurable.
Attainable.
They're attainable. They're going to be relevant to your life, and they're going to be time bound. So specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So Shelby, let's talk a little bit about specificity in our goal setting.
Yeah, so you want to make sure that your goal is specific to you because like you said earlier, if it's just a general thing, it's harder to find a route to get there too. Like if it's so general that you don't know where to start, it's not you're not going to get it.
Right.
So you want to make sure that it's specific enough that you'll be able to reach it, and you want to make sure that it's specific to you, not super generalized.
Yeah, so like instead of saying I want to put on 30 pounds of muscle and lose 20 pounds of body fat, or put this giant goal in place, be specific about it. What do you want to do first? Let's pull 10 pounds of body fat off and start with that. So that's our specific goal. Let's remove 10 pounds of body fat. Okay.
Or habits too.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you know what? This week I want to hit my protein goal 4 out of the 7 days because I've been struggling with that. Or this week I want to hit my water goal every single day because I've been struggling with that. It can be anything. A goal can be anything that is specific to what you want.
Yeah, there's outcome goals and then there's process goals as well. So I think setting process goals in the fitness realm, it's really more important than the outcome goals, because the processes are going to will be what will set up the outcome, set you up for that outcome to happen. So basically saying like, okay, this week I'm going to hit all of my macros 6 out of 7 days. My 7th day I have a free meal, so I'm going to hit most of my meals except for my free meal. Or whatever that looks like for you, but setting a process goal where you're going to achieve the parts of the steps that it takes to get to your goal. So,
and when it comes to setting goals, like if you're sitting down and you don't have a single goal and you're trying to come up with one, you should think about problems that you have. Like, what do you want to change in your life, and then literally start there.
Yeah, start there and have a short-term and some long-term goals. Next, when you're setting these goals, they got to be measurable. You have to be able to measure your progress to know if you need to rectify what you're doing. You should be able to look back and analyze and have data to say that I am either moving forward or I'm not moving forward towards my goal.
Yeah, if your goal is to lose the 10 pounds of body fat and you're not weighing yourself or taking your body fat, measurements with a caliper or anything like that, how do you know if you're doing it?
Right. Yeah, we don't know what's actually happening. So if you just said, okay, I want to get leaner, right? But how much leaner? Like, do we have a body fat percentage we're aiming for? Do we have a certain look that we're looking for? I mean, specifically like stage lean, that's a different kind of situation,
That's
right?
its own beast, yeah.
Yeah. But it has to be measurable. So in like a contest prep situation, basically you'd be setting up your process goals for that. But things have to be measurable. That's the point. Because if you cannot measure your progress, then you don't know
if you're making any. You don't know if you're making any.
Exactly. All right. They have to be achievable. Let's talk a little bit about this one, Shelby.
Yes. So they do have to be achievable. You can't just go from 0 to 100. You can't. It will mentally mess with you, in my opinion. So I think that literally using a staircase as an analogy, like that's how your goal setting should be. You should start at the bottom with something easier for you that you'll be able to do and stick with it. Reinforce to yourself like, oh, I just did that. Like, okay, let's try this and continue to build upon that. But don't start with, I've never worked out a day in my life. I'm going to do a contest prep in 3 months. Like, no.
Yeah.
Try to go to the gym a couple days a week. Try to have more balanced meals. Start somewhere where you're comfortable and you'll be able to follow through with those.
Yeah. So it's always better to start small and then achieve those goals and then build momentum and continue to add things over time, than it is to completely rewire and overwhelm your system, because the odds of just quitting then are too high. So if somebody comes to me and they've never worked out before and I think I'm going to put them on a 5 or 6 day program, that's absolutely not going to work. Even if they're motivated to do it, it's just not going to work. It's complete 180 on their lifestyle. We got to add things in slowly. Okay, so it's got to be achievable. So setting out to say, like, okay, I want to lose 100 pounds in the next year. Um, you know, it could be done, but let's break it up and chunk it up.
Exactly.
And set things that are a little more achievable.
Start smaller, and then you know what? If you end up, for that example, losing the extra weight, great.
Yeah, that's
You've
awesome.
shown yourself that you can go above and beyond. But try to make goals where you're not falling short every single time, because that is also going to reinforce to your brain that you can't do those things, and it's just going to completely ruin your whole process. It will set you back more than anything, really.
Yeah, we need small wins to build
Small
momentum.
wins are the big wins.
Yeah.
Small wins are the big wins.
Yeah, and I think with goal setting, a lot of people have these giant goals, and they forget to set the mid and small goals. And when you do that, then you're just focused on the big picture, and then it's easier to make little mistakes because, oh, maybe this one trip, like you look at it and you're like, okay, if I go through the drive-through one time, will that prevent me from getting to where I want to go? Ultimately, no. But that mindset will prevent you.
Exactly.
So
you should have milestones.
Yeah.
On the way to whatever your bigger goal is that you meet.
So if you're focused on this week and your nutrition, then you're going to say, oh, I don't really need to go through the drive-through.
Because it will affect you. Yeah. It will affect you this week.
And I'm just trying to crush my goals for this week, and then next week is the next goal. Okay. So they got to be relevant. Let's talk about relevance. So they're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable. They got to be relevant.
Yeah. So if you, like I said before, when you sit down and you don't have a single goal in mind and you're trying to come up with a goal, it should be relevant to your life. Yeah. Like, I am not going to be like, you know what? By the end of the year, I'm going to climb Mount Everest. I don't care about Mount Everest at all. I care about my fitness goals, my health goals, school, running a business. I care about all these things. For someone else who's into that stuff, that might be a realistic goal for them, a very relevant goal for them if they've been doing it for years and that's something that they're very passionate about. So you have to be very selfish with your goals. You have to make them about you or you won't achieve them.
Yeah, and the drive won't be there. So there has to be some kind of relevance to your life and some kind of benefit for achieving that goal.
You have to have your why. Why do you want to do this? How is this going to benefit you? Do you have the materials and the capability to achieve this goal?
And that is why fitness is so broad. That's why there's bodybuilding. That's why there's powerlifting. That's why, like, even some people do, like, CrossFit.
Yoga. Like, there's so many things you left. There's so many things that you can get into. But you're right. It has to be relevant for you and your situation and your needs.
Yeah. Everybody has a place here. I was just making a joke about CrossFit. True story. But look,
I love it here.
There's got to be some kind of benefit to you achieving that goal that's relevant to you. And then once that happens, then now you have the motivation to achieve that. Another thing here is they got to be time bound. And that is the measurement and the time is what's going to keep you on track. So you measure your goals, how far am I along towards my goal, and then how much time do I have left. And that's how you'll gauge how far along you are on reaching that goal. So without a time-bound end to this one particular goal, then you have more potential to procrastinate.
Yeah, you're going to be, like we said in the beginning, you're just going to be aimlessly roaming around like, oh, I have 4 years to lose 5 pounds. If your goal is to lose 5 pounds, it's like, no. You could do that in 2 weeks.
Yeah, set a time frame on it. Get it done.
A reasonable time frame.
Yep. Set a time frame on it.
Because then you can build on it.
Exactly. And then move on to the next one. That's it.
Don't sell yourself short either. I'm not saying you have to go, don't make a goal that's at the top of the staircase, but don't sell yourself short. You are capable of anything you put your mind to. Just make it reasonable.
Yeah, and you're capable of achieving that through goal setting through the long term. So you set a small goal. It starts with, I'm going to drink a gallon of water a day, and then you do that. And then you hit your protein goal, and then you hit your protein and your carbs and your fat goal. And then now you break those down and you have proper nutrient timing, and your sleep is there, and your training is there,
And your stress levels are down. And
all of those things build up over time to reaching whatever as far as you want to go.
I think people look at, and I'm just going to use myself as an example because I've competed, they'll look at bodybuilders and they think it just happened overnight. It took me 3 years to get my habits in order. Just my habits. And they piled on top of each other. First, it was nutrition. Yeah. I was like, you know what? I'm ready to really hone in on my diet. Then it was my water. And then I felt great. I'm like, I want to keep going. So then it was the nutrient timing. And then it was, you know what? I want to do a show. So it is so easy once you start to get that ball rolling with that momentum to just keep building and building and building. And once you start, it's so hard to stop. You just want more for yourself because you're like, oh, I can do this. This is cool. I can do this too. All right, cool. You just keep proving to yourself that you're capable.
And the achievement actually fuels more work,
It's awesome.
More drive to get the work done. It's one of those things like, how do you have how do you have energy to work out? Well, I have energy because I work out.
I work out.
Yeah, it's like one of those things.
Yep.
So when it comes to goal setting, I see a lot of people try to overdo it, and they make these giant goals. So make sure that you're setting things that are attainable with you, and they're relevant.
And I just want to bring up one more point before we kind of wrap up. You have to be able to adapt when it comes to goal setting, because just because route A didn't work for you to get from point A to B doesn't mean route B, C, D, or E won't. Yep. You just have to be able to allow yourself to try different things to get where you want to go, because it's not black and white. There's not one path there. It's different for every single person. So you have to allow yourself that wiggle room to try different things and not give up or, get frustrated with yourself.
Exactly. So that's why things have to be measurable. So they're specific, they're measurable, you're measuring it, and you're noticing maybe you're not making the progress that you thought you were or you should be for your habits, but all your habits are in check. The goal doesn't change, but maybe the route does. Mm-hmm. And if you're not measuring your progress, and basing that on some kind of timeline, then you don't know when it's time to redirect or try something else.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, making sure that you're following the rules of SMART goals will set you up. So January is coming up. It's the time for some big, long goals. Some people call them resolutions even.
Yeah.
And a lot of people laugh at them, but I like it. It's an opportunity to set a new goal for a new year. It's ultimately, I think it comes from a good place when people try to do a New Year's resolution.
I agree. And you know what? I'm not saying that people can't do it without coaches, but another benefit of having a coach is someone who can look at it and be like, you know what? That goal's not attainable. This will actually have us backtracking. Let's start smaller and let's build on that. It's just nice to have an outside set of eyes when it comes to those things too.
Yeah, if you have some fitness goals or if you have a business goal, the best thing you can do is get a mentor. Mm-hmm. Like if you're serious about it, and I'm not saying even me or Shelby, I'm saying that if anybody. You are after some serious goals, having somebody that you know, like, and trust and is intelligent, they're going to help you stay accountable mm-hmm. and hold you accountable, and then also help you with the specifics of your goal, mm-hmm. The time-bound portion, and help you with the measurements as well.
It's nice to have someone to look up to go for advice, to someone who's been through it, that, can really help you also go through it. So.
Absolutely. Do you have any last-minute thoughts before we close up?
No, I hope everyone is enjoying the holiday season and this warm weather.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? It's like 55. It's going to be 55 degrees on Christmas.
55 degrees.
I thought it was lying. I refreshed my weather app like 4 times.
Hopefully that changes. I like me a white Christmas.
I know, me too. But this weather, it's so beautiful out. That's all. I just wanted to mention the awesome weather we're having.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Well, it's something to be grateful for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all in all, it's time for goal setting.
What is a goal? One more
Yeah.
thing. What is a goal that you have for yourself coming up? Because I know that I said I want to try and practice more gratitude and be more grateful for things, even when I'm feeling kind of down. So what is something that you plan on working on this year?
So this year, I plan, well, as far as the roster goes, I'd like to add about a 25% increase to my roster in the next 6 months. But when I do that, I want to have more education processes in place. So in, say, the next 6 months, I'm going to have a much better nutrition course for our onboarding clients to have.
That's a smart goal.
We already have some things in place, but that's my goals. In the next 6 months, we're going to have the nutrition course.
I love it. That's
So.
awesome.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode on realistic goal setting. Have an awesome rest of your week, and talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond the Physique podcast. If you enjoyed this and would like to hear more like it, be sure to subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram at Trevor W Training, on YouTube at Strategic Aesthetics, on Facebook, Trevor Woodyard, and you can also apply for coaching at strategicaesthetics.com.